And hello, everyone. Yes, as Jane said, this session will be covering how using the Open Athens Reporting API can unlock the potential of library usage statistics for informed decision-making and strategic planning. My name is Richard French. I'm the Product Manager at Open Athens, and I'm joined today by Becky Croxton from at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. And over the next 10 to 15 minutes, we will cover the following. So we'll start by introducing the Open Athens Reporting API before looking at some of the updates we've made to the tool over the last year or so. Then Becky will share how she has been using the newly enhanced reporting API at UNC Charlotte. And we'll have a bit of time towards the end for questions. So, the Open Athens Reporting API. So this was originally launched back in 2020. And the main driver behind its creation was that we understood that librarians spend long hours delving into usage data and user activity to understand how resources are being used and using that data to drive decisions about where to spend budget and how to improve things like student engagement and retention. And at Open Athens, we wanted to make accessing and using that data as easy as possible for our library customers. So first thing to say is that the reporting API is a tool for our library customers. It's a additional service that is available on top of Open Athens core subscription. And how it works simply is that the reporting API allows library customers to extract the Open Athens patron resource usage data to create customer reports in their own business intelligence or data visualization tools. API is essentially a way for different programs to talk to each other and share information. So, for example, when you use an app on your phone to check the weather, the app is using an API to get the weather data from another program. So similarly, our reporting API is a way to pull the resource usage data that's found in the Open Athens reporting interface, which is shared on the screen at the moment. So this is a key component of the Open Athens software for our library customers. So the API can pull that resource usage data into different programs and use in different systems. So you can take that resource usage data available there and it extracts it, and you can pull it into business intelligence tools like Tableau or Power BI. So the core features of the reporting API, since it's been launched 4 years ago, provides that resource usage data. It matches how data is available in the Open Athens reporting API. So that's resource usage data that is aggregated by hour or day or month. And using the API means you can automate report downloads to run at your preferred frequency, so daily, weekly, and so forth. And the API provides the data as a flat reporting CSV format, which means the data is compatible and can be used in lots of different tools and programs. And the feedback that we've received from our library customers over the past few years highlights a number of the benefits the reporting APIs deliver to them. So it saves time. There's no need to manually run reports or necessarily log into the Open Athens library software to run those reports. It only needs to be set up once, and that data will feed automatically into your chosen business intelligence tool. It provides the ability that you can create those highly customizable reports on usage or access. You can focus on specific data that's relevant to your institution, and it can enhance your capabilities to make those data-driven decisions for the benefit of your library and your organization as a whole. So Anglia Ruskin, a university that's based in the UK, has been using the reporting API for a number of years. They want to understand the link between resource usage and student engagement. And the reporting API allow university administrators to easily extract their Open Athens resource usage data into their BI tools and removed the workload of generating those manual reports each month. So what enhancements we've been making to the service over the last year or so. So while it's a powerful tool, we have received feedback that we can improve it further, and that's what we've been focusing on over the last couple of months, and that's what we're delivering in 2024. So the headline here is that the reporting API now provides access to the raw, unaggregated authentication and resource usage data, which means library customers who use the service can choose the data granularity to suit their needs. So if we look at the features of the original API against the enhanced version side by side, hopefully this will help demonstrate the changes we've made. So original reporting API aggregates the data by hour, day, and month, and you can access the resource usage data. So that's matching how the data appears in our reporting interface. The enhancement that we've made is that now you can access the precise timestamped user activity. So that's down to the second. So it's not aggregated to the nearest hour. You can, as well as the resource usage data, you can get authentication data as well. And you get more granular details. So that's including information on user identifiers and locations and other attributes that have been marked as reportable. So we see the new enhancement as delivering a number of additional benefits. So it can be adjusted to your needs. So you can provide the data at your preferred level of granularity. So aggregated and raw unaggregated data. Access to the raw data provides the opportunity to do more in-depth analysis on your users and their resource usage. For example, you can now see data on restricted node turnaways, which helps you understand which resources users are trying to access without the right permissions and subscriptions. And also you can use the raw data to more easily identify and address potential misuse as well. So we have developed this enhancement to the reporting API through piloting it with a number of our library customers over the past 6 months. And one of those customers who took part in the pilot was the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. So I'm going to pass over to Becky to share her experiences of using the enhanced reporting API. Over to you, Becky.
Thank you so much, Richard. And it really has been a remarkable experience serving as a pilot tester for the new reporting API. So as Richard said, I am here from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte in the United States. And I'd like to give you just a little bit of information about our university so you know how your setting might compare to ours. We're an urban research university in the Carnegie classification doctoral university with higher research activity. So we're currently at R2, plans to be R1 in 2025. In fall 2023, we had just over 30,000 students. We have a 77% acceptance rate, 82% overall persistence rates. 34% of our incoming class this year were transfer students, and we are part of a system of 17 universities in North Carolina, and we have the second largest undergraduate enrollment. Next slide, please. So our API went live in June 2023, and we started pulling in data within 2 days of being given access to the reporting API from Open Athens. These connections were established or managed by our library's IT colleagues. Our main point of contact with IT, Curtis, said the script was easy to write based on our previous code for Open Athens data. And the IT team also created a database view for the library that makes it easy to match up classifications for various user groups based on their affiliations. So when Richard spoke about the granularity of data, we pulled the actual user identifier. And then we use that to match up the identifier with other information gathered from our student information system. The API generates about 90,000 records each month, and the system runs the scripts daily in the early hours, taking just seconds to pull in the latest data. From the end user of the data perspective, being me, I am extremely pleased to say that what used to take my assessment team several days each term to download, clean, and process data can now be accomplished in just a few minutes. It's really quite remarkable. Next slide, please. So our collection services team is beginning to use this data to better understand how much various resources are being used, when they're used, and a bit of information about who is using them. Things like a student's year in school, or for a person what's a faculty or a staff member, what department affiliation they have, etc. And so we take the data that are pulled from the API and have created some Tableau dashboards. I've done that on my side that you can see here. And these dashboards are available to anyone in the library. They're filterable by those types of characteristics I mentioned, dates, times, terms, and user information. And one terrific thing about having these dashboards is that we can quickly determine yearly totals, which are reported annually in our strategic planning documentation. Next slide, please. And finally, as the head of the library's strategic analytics and assessment, I'm able to take the raw engagement data, align it with student demographic information, measures of student success, things like year-to-year retention, cumulative GPA, and graduation rates. This has been critical to helping the library understand how students' engagement with the library's authenticated resources through Open Athens is correlated with their success. Statistical analyses have revealed powerful, significant findings. As an example, the chart on the right of the slide here illustrates the four-year graduation rates for undergraduate students who never authenticated to Open Athens resources. So those who never authenticated across their 4 years at university, their graduation rate was 29%, compared to individuals over on the right who engaged with the authenticated resources 20 or more times across their first 4 years at university, who had an 81% overall graduation rate. So again, engagement with Open Athens doesn't necessarily cause greater retention rate, but the results are highly correlated. And you should also be aware that the library provides instruction and information literacy sessions to thousands of students each year. And included in these sessions are orientations for students that introduce them to how to use our authenticated resources. Thus, instruction is our gateway for students to learn how to access the resources. Thus, we're using these findings, like what is shown here, to help us market the importance of this engagement with faculty instructors within the library in the information literacy sessions, in research sessions. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Yes, so to summarize, the enhancements we've made to the reporting API means now that it provides authentication and resource usage data. It's got that exact timestamp user activity and kind of more granular data, meaning you can do more in-depth analysis and reports on different types of activities, be that turnaways or potential misuse, and things like that. So I am aware of time. We do have maybe 1 or 2 minutes if there are any questions. Oh, let me have a look. Rebecca, is the implementation for the API complex? Would we need a technical person?
So I am the end user of the data. So I would I did need a technical person to set up the API. His name is Curtis, and he said it was quite easy to create the scripts and pull the data. But I, as the assessment person, I wouldn't have known how to do that.
Right, thank you. And another one, how many people do you have in your team? Would you recommend it to small libraries with small teams?
We had one IT colleague who was managing the technical logistics, and then I lead an assessment team that includes 2 other people, including myself. However, once we've set up the dashboards, you know, that's just a click of the button. So once we get it set up, it really took no great deal of information or no great deal of time like it did in the past. So you could do it with a 1-person team. And then the research I conduct related to how students are engaging and correlating that with their student success, I would say, you know, that's just research that we're doing that does take a great deal of time, but it's not anything related to the Open Athens API. It's just, you know, research takes time.
Right, thank you.
Yeah.
I see there's a couple more questions. We are at time. I need to pass over to colleagues. I see there's one that's related to the cost of the API. I think the best course of action there is to contact your Open Athens account manager if you want to find out more about the API, the cost for it, how you can get it activated for your organization. And Jonathan, I can see your message around Power BI. I'll follow up on that one offline after the webinar. That's okay. We're making note of that. Follow up that. I will just finish by saying thank you for listening, for your time. Thank you, Becky, for sharing your experiences of using the reporting API. There's links that have been shared in the chat to find out more about the API on our website and the case studies. And I am going to pass over to my colleagues Sylvia and Kieran, who are going to talk about how Open Athens works with publishers to evolve the needs of the library.